Iran was the big news of the week, but it was not the only big news. On Tuesday, the director of the FBI, Kash Patel, revealed that the FBI had thwarted a major plot that involved snipers and drones carrying explosives that were all part of a plan to target the UFC Freedom 250 event that was held at the White House last Sunday night, which was attended by over 4,000 people who could have become victims. Director Patel said that the FBI first became aware of the plot on June 10th, ultimately arresting 5 suspects before the UFC event safely took place. Officials told Fox News that the plot was to use explosive-laden drones to target the buildings in an attempt to herd panicked people into the path of a group of snipers who would take them out. A second wave would have then been launched targeting the White House itself. Those apparently responsible for the planned bloodshed have been arrested, including, according to Fox News reports, 19-year-old Tyson Proper, Brian Omar Roa, and Michael Allen Thomas. Proper was arrested in Ohio, while Roa and Thomas were both arrested in California and charged with conspiracy to commit murder. According to the complaint, as reported on by the Daily Wire, Proper was hit with 4 criminal charges, including conspiracy to commit an offense against the United States of America, attempted murder of officers or employees of the United States, possession of a firearm in furtherance of a crime of violence, and receipt or transfer of a firearm used to commit a felony. According to the complaint, in March of this year, Proper joined a TikTok, China, just spreading the mental health. It only took them a few months to just completely F him up. A TikTok group called Vanguard of the Old, where the members openly discussed how they believed that the United States needed to be destroyed and rebuilt from the ground up as they saw fit. Proper allegedly told the FBI that he believed that many of the group members had prior military experience. The complaint against them stated that the members of that group stated that they wanted to protect the United States, which they believed was heading in the wrong direction. Members of that group believed that the United States needed to be torn down so that it could be rebuilt. Some expressed a desire that people who were involved with Jeffrey Epstein should not govern the country. So they were conspiracy theorists. The FBI's complaint also explained that local law enforcement had shown up at a home in Knox County, Ohio, after Proper's own mother called them on the evening of June 10th because she was deeply concerned about her son's behavior, his recent gun purchases, and his disturbing communication with people online. Proper's parents told law enforcement that their son had recently quit his job and started communicating online with unknown individuals about missions and recons. Losers! Yet another internet mind virus that escaped into the real world. Proper also used $3,000 of his graduation money to buy several boxes of ammunition, estimated by law enforcement to be in the thousands of rounds, plus 2 plate carriers with AR-style magazines, an AR-style rifle, and a built-up rifle painted with an American flag. That is all according to the criminal complaint against him. That equipment was turned over to law enforcement. Meanwhile, Proper was then admitted to a local hospital based on his homicidal ideations, and local law enforcement contacted the FBI, who had other ideas for him. Proper's mother told the FBI that he had joined a group that expressed ultra-religious and anti-government sentiments. Okay, so these were crusading anarchists, specifically citing grievances about the government corruption, the handling of the Epstein files, data centers taking up all of the water in communities, and other government actions. So this young person, sadly, became yet another walking mind virus, which means that his youth will now be spent in prison when he might have been perfectly normal without politics and mentally ill internet groups and Chinese interference. Hey, those are the facts. If they bother you, take it up with someone else. I didn't create them. I'm just pointing at them. On June 11th, a search warrant was executed for Propper's phone, and that was when they found signal chats that laid out detailed plans to conduct an attack in Washington, D.C., along with detailed imagery of the National Capital Region and maps of the area. And that is all according to the complaint, which also noted that the maps specifically highlighted sniper locations, potential drone launch locations, and other detailed tactical planning. That same day, according to the criminal complaint, the FBI interviewed Propper, who admitted that he and others had been planning a coordinated attack together against the United States government during the UFC event on the White House lawn. According to the complaint, he stated that the plan was for members of his group to act as snipers and additional shooters, preferably with long guns, staged at or near the southern evacuation point to conduct shootings of members of the crowd and high-value targets as they fled from the explosive devices which had just been detonated. The high-value targets included both wealthy people, like Elon Musk and others, and politicians. According to Propper, this attack was designed to jumpstart a revolution in the United States. According to the text messages that were included in the criminal complaint by the FBI Task Force officer Christopher Betts, one of the potential targets was Senator Marsha Blackburn, based on the reason they wanted to kill her because, according to the messages that were plotting this attack, in which Propper had written, "I got a possible target. Marsha Blackburn is senator for Tennessee because she's taken money from the pro-Israel lobby and supports them." Correction, dimwit. The American pro-Israel lobby. AIPAC is American, not Israeli. See the difference? For example, you are an American who opposes them, as is your right. I, on the other hand, am an American who supports them, as is my right. See how that works? That doesn't mean that anything nefarious is going on just because the people that are brainwashed like you are outnumbered by the people who are not. Here's a fun fact for you. The American Association of Realtors lobbies our government with far more money than AIPAC does. So does China and several other foreign governments. Go look at the list, because those are all facts, sweetie. Go look at the financial records, you moron. Are American realtors trying to control things in a nefarious way too? Because that is what lobbying money proves, right? Everyone lobbies. If you were against it for everyone, that would at least be consistent. Or if you were against it for everyone, that would at least be consistent. But being okay with it for almost everyone and only being against it when it has something to do with Israel or Jews is singling them out for different treatment, which by definition is bigotry. But you might understand this if you listen to people who are more intelligent than devil-worshipping Candace Owens and conman Tucker Carlson or Looney Tune pathetic living in his basement Nick Fuentes. Probably doing his cat right now, which is more than you're going to have available to you in jail. Meanwhile, Officer Betts said that a review of the chat planning this attack had revealed other targets, apparently including Senator Jim Justice, Senator Shelley Moore Capito, Representative Carol Miller, and Representative Riley Moore, all of whom hail from West Virginia. Their images, it should be noted, were apparently taken from the radical website trackapac.com, according to the complaint. Yeah, they think this freaking lobbying group is Darth Vader. Here he comes. Cue the scuba breaths. One suspect allegedly told officials that he wanted to target capitalist elites, billionaires, and politicians who received donations from the American Israel Public Affairs Committee. He was apparently fine with donations from anyone else, because those are the only ones that could ever be nefarious. Director Patel had this to say. On June 10th, FBI and our law enforcement partners became aware of a potential threat to the UFC America 250 event in Washington, D.C., involving individuals outside of the National Capital Region. And thanks to the rapid action of this FBI, our partners, and the Department of Justice in a multi-state operation, multiple individuals are now in custody, and allegedly planned attacks were stopped cold. Fox News reported that a total of 23 individuals were reportedly investigated over their suspected ties to this plot. One suspect was arrested in Cincinnati, Ohio, and others planned to travel to Fredericksburg, Virginia prior to the UFC event, where the group was set to rendezvous for the bloodbath. As Director Patel said, while the result represents the best of investigative work, it was also nothing out of the ordinary for this law enforcement team. We are built to detect, respond to, and bring to justice those who threaten the lives of American citizens, particularly during large gatherings like the historic UFC 250 fight. That's exactly what we did here. I want to thank our great agents and partners. This work remains ongoing, and we will continue to update the public as permitted. This attack was just the latest example in a recent surge of left-wing violence from the assassination of Charlie Kirk, 3 attempted presidential assassinations, the gunning down of 2 young staffers at the Israeli embassy, the assassination of the United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, the violence directed at Tesla dealerships via fire bombings and shooting sprees, the attack on Sam Altman's home, the attack on Josh Shapiro's governor's mansion, the almost daily violence against ICE, etc., etc., etc. But remember, the official narrative is that the violence is coming from the right. You just can't name it. Even the man that currently stands accused of starting the Lockman and Palisades fires, in which many people died, was reportedly inspired by Luigi Mangione. And likewise, the suspects who stand accused of plotting this attack on the UFC Freedom 250 event at the White House hoped that their radical political violence would jumpstart a revolution, carnage, which they wanted all because they were upset about things like the Epstein files. Tyson Proper faced a detention hearing on June 17th. and he faces a preliminary hearing on June 29th, both in the Southern District of Ohio. However, I want to note that compassion was being shown to his mother, a cosmetologist there in Ohio, after she broke her silence on Wednesday, posting a Bible verse to her Facebook page that read, "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." One user commented back, "I can't begin to imagine how difficult your choice, the right one, was. But you undoubtedly saved untold numbers of lives, including Tyson's. You know we're praying. We love you guys." Another person wrote, "You have done the hardest thing, but the Lord will hold you tightly in his tender care because of it." To which I would like to say, don't believe the news and don't let the internet change and dehumanize you, because most people out here, whatever they think about the political issues, are decent people. And they will show you that if you give them a chance and if you are willing to see it. And speaking of inconvenient realities, on Thursday, it came out that the man who currently stands accused of being the ringleader of the group that thoroughly planned to attack the UFC Freedom 250 event at the White House last weekend is an illegal from Mexico. The Justice Department said that Abraham Alvarez was responsible for planning, organizing, and directing the planned attack, and it turns out that he had overstayed his visa after being brought into our country as a child. Here's what happened. According to the Department of Homeland Security, Alvarez came here on a B2 visa, which is typically given for tourism or for medical reasons. The one that was issued to Alvarez expired a quarter of a century ago, back in 2001, and he would have been deported. But he was granted deportation relief in 2014 under Barack Obama. And then he thanked us for that by leading a group of terrorists who wanted to tear the country that took him in, despite his crimes against it, to the ground so that they could rebuild our country in their own image, regardless of the will of the people that it belongs to. And they intended to do this through bloodshed involving both explosives and snipers at the White House, slaying masses in the delusional hope that this carnage would spark a bloody revolution that would be unleashed on all innocent people across this country. Well done, Obama. As the Assistant Secretary for the Department of Homeland Security, Lauren Biss, told Fox News, this illegal alien from Mexico should never have been allowed in our country. He was the ringleader of a failed terror attack targeting UFC Freedom 250 at the White House. He will face justice and swiftly be removed from our country. According to the criminal complaint against him, Alvarez specifically wanted to target the president that was duly elected by the actual people of this country, Donald Trump, but, screw the actual Americans. He's here, he's taking over. He also wanted to kill their elected vice president, J.D. Vance, the Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, who he thought would be there for some delusional reason, and Elon Musk. Of course, neither Elon Musk nor Benjamin Netanyahu were at this event. As for the details, Alvarez went by the moniker Shepherd in his terrorist group chat, where the attack was planned. Under this name, on June 10th, he posted maps of the D.C. area, along with this statement. This is the best action I see. Position your teams in the purple dots, counter sniper and drones, long-range circled area, great shot. Easy out into the river. Tyson Proper, the 19-year-old co-conspirator that we already covered, was the one who apparently identified Shepard as being the primary individual involved with planning. And according to the FBI, he directly stated that Shepard was the leader of the group and described him as aggressive in tactical planning. The FBI's special agent, Eugene Noel, stated, "From his home here in Nebraska, Alvarez allegedly directed and recruited others across the country to conduct a horrific attack against government officials in a mass casualty event. Our team worked around the clock to locate and apprehend Alvarez, take him into custody, and collect crucial evidence. Alvarez has now been charged with conspiracy to murder and conspiracy to commit an offense against the United States of America." That is not how you say thank you, which is all that we should have ever been hearing from you. And before you say, well, that's not fair, if I was starving on the streets and I broke into your home, and instead of kicking me out, as you would have every right to do, you invited me to stay because you felt sorry for me in my terrible situation, and you offered to share with me the meal that you had made, the only acceptable response from me is for me to say thank you to you. No other response is even acceptable. It doesn't matter if the meal that you fixed happens to be the food that I hate most on planet Earth. The only appropriate response is thank you. If I said anything else to you besides expressing my gratitude for the generosity that you did not owe me, you should tell me to get out of your house. This guy can get the hell out of my country, because it is my country, not his. And he is about to find that out.